Janesville. Welcome to Park Place Views, brought to you by the City of Janesville and JATV Media Services. I'm your host, Molly Nolte, and I'm the Management Information Specialist in the City Manager's Office. This monthly program aims to keep Janesville residents informed by highlighting the people, places, events, and partners in the City of Janesville. On last month's episode, I spoke with City Manager Mark Freitag and Finance Director Max Gagan about the city's 2019 budget and our legislative agenda for the year. If you're interested in viewing past episodes of Park Place Views, they're available to watch on the city's website or JATV's YouTube channel. On this month's special episode, we'll be turning the camera on our friends here at JATV, giving you a glimpse at the people behind the cameras, the work they do, and the important service they provide our Janesville community. JATV is Janesville's premier local access television station and provides a great service to our residents. In 2018, their small staff budgeted to record 180 events, and they exceeded their goal and recorded more than 240. Much of that filming is done on location of the events and meetings, but some filming and all the post-production occurs right here in JATV's studio, which is located on the first floor of Hedberg Public Library. Today, we're going to sit down with the station manager of JATV Media Services, Alan Luckett, to learn more about JATV. Alan was hired to JATV in July of 2016. Before that, he was the station and media manager for the City of Whitewater's community television station since 2000. Alan has a bachelor's degree in film and video from Columbia College of Chicago. Both Alan and another staff member, Tina Breeze-Wallers, are board members for Wisconsin Community Media. Thanks for being here today, Alan.
Thanks for having me.
Where else would you be?
I'm always here.
First, can you tell us a little bit more about your staffing? How many people work here and what do they all do?
We try to keep some interns, so we do have one intern right now. She's a high school student in Beloit. And then we have 2 half-time employees. And then Tina is a full-time employee and I'm a full-time employee. And basically the half-time positions are producers, so they're doing a lot of production, whether it be government meetings or out in the field production, anything that's going to be graphic or video oriented. And then Tina does programming as well as doing some video work as well. I mean, currently right now she's working on a video to help promote the police department. So that's one of her projects. So she likes taking on a bunch of projects here and there. But there are lots of times where all of us are working together, filming an event, especially if we need more than 2 cameras at said events.
So how are your operations funded?
We're funded through a franchise fee. A franchise fee is a lease of right-of-way for the cable company to come in and do business in our town. That way the city government kind of has an oversight for what they're doing. That way it's not a bunch of cables strung on poles or people's yards being destroyed by somebody trying to trench in some cabling. So there's that franchise fee. So out of that, what it basically is 5% on top of whatever the cable bill is just for television. So whatever they subscribe to cable, a portion of those funds will come back to operate our operation. And out of the money that's collected, which it's under $1 million for the whole city, we get a fifth of that pie in order to operate our channel here.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about the FCC and maybe how some of that funding relates to the FCC and some of the work they've been doing lately?
Well, the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, basically had enacted some cable franchise law to be able to oversee what the cable companies were doing. The last major changes were pretty much in the last century, and not so much recently. Although we as a channel, we're actually tied to Wisconsin's cable franchise agreement. In the past, communities could do a one-on-one negotiation with the cable company, and so they could create a franchise agreement that might benefit the city a little bit more. Let's say some extra funding for a channel like ours. Maybe it's extra couple channels that they're having in operation. So with the statewide, it kind of holds us to we can only ask for the 5% that's allowed to us federally, and beyond that we really don't have any negotiation power. The other thing too with the local franchising in the past is if you had issues, consumer concerns regarding the services that are provided by the cable company, you'd have some teeth in the game to argue and contest those things. Now, since we're tied in with a state, wide franchise, really you don't have as much power to draw, any kind of changes that might happen if we are concerned with the cable provider here in town. Basically, the whole reason we have a statewide franchise is due to AT&T wanting to get into the cable business with their AT&T U-verse system, and they didn't want to do an exclusive franchise agreement with all the communities that they had a footprint for their, basically AT&T and Bell, network, and so they decided, oh well, we'll hire 22 lobbyists to go to the state capitol to get the politicians to agree to creating a statewide franchise. So that way, anytime there was a charter in one community and another business came in and wanted to do business for cable providing, they could actually apply for the statewide franchise, and automatically, it's a level playing field for them to do business. Since it ended up happening, U-verse is actually, they're trying to trim down their U-verse system and pushing people more towards satellite dish. So it kind of, in a way, has kind of failed instead of, or at least on the side of AT&T. And on the side of Charter Cable, it's benefited them because they're still, an established entity offering multiple services.
So is there anything else you wanted to touch on based on the FCC, that franchise law, and maybe a timeline, or is that kind of all over now?
Well, there are some issues concerning the FCC, and I'm not sure if we're addressing those later, but there was talk about the FCC allowing the cable providers to charge us a lease for our channel, which has in the past has always been an in-kind contribution to the city. It's part of doing business. If a cable company wants to come into town, they need to offer us the option of having a channel. So that way, if we had to do emergency messaging or whatever, we had a way of communicating with our constituents, our citizens. And there's been some proposals from the FCC to consider, well, you know what, I think the cable companies can possibly lease that channel back to the city. So it's very confusing because it doesn't benefit the federal government whatsoever, and it puts a burden on the local government. And we don't know if it's going to happen or not, because there was a time of complaint time or feedback time that was put in place, whereas representatives could say something, community members could say something, government, local governments could say something, and a lot had responded. I think there were over 3,500 people that had actually filed some papers saying most of them were in opposition of them going and charging city governments a lease to have their channel on the system. Because in truth, it doesn't benefit anybody other than the cable company and not local government or even federal government.
All right, well, let's change gears just a little bit now. And we'll talk a little bit more about what you all do right here in Janesville. And you do provide such a great service. I mentioned earlier that you recorded over 240 community events and various meetings just in the last year. So what kind of programming does that all include?
Well, with the government meeting, you're talking City Council, Plan Commission, the Alcohol License Advisory Committee, ALAC, and also the Community Development Authority. Those are kind of the bare bones ones that are always a guarantee every month, as long as they have a quorum and they're planning on meeting. Other than that, we film a lot of stuff for the library, since we are housed in the library. So a lot of the programs you see upstairs in the program room are actually recorded and rebroadcast. Like Senior Moments is a big one that we do, so that has a nice outreach to the community. We also do candidates debates. So we'll work with the League of Women Voters and actually film some of those. And we did one candidates debate with JM4C, Janesville's Mobilization for Change. We've also filmed numerous things at JPAC, which is your Janesville Performing Arts Center, like the Beloit Janesville Symphony Orchestra is one that we've covered. We also filmed Wee Banjo 3 when they performed here, and they're an international act from Ireland. We also will do like Arise programs, so a lot of the Rise things that are going on we filmed, dedications that happen around town. Of course, we do training with the city, which is vitally important because it makes us better, better government employees to be able to, service our citizens in the best way possible. So we do a lot of training there. There are so many different things. I mean, aiming at the nonprofits. I mean, we'll do some of the stuff through the women's club organization. So the Art League is one that we've done some stuff with as well. We've also done stuff with UROC, which is UW Whitewater and Rock County.
Right.
And we've also done some stuff recently at Blackhawk Technical College. They do Martin Luther King Day, and so we had the opportunity to film that event as well. So I mean, we don't do too much with the school district, but and we'd like to do more. The school district does have their own channel, so there is an opportunity for them to reach out further. A lot of stuff that we do film, we do put it online so that it's accessible for everybody.
Right. So that is kind of a wide range of things that you and your team are behind the scenes at and filming. Are there any regulations to what type of programming you can produce?
At this point in time, there really isn't. We try to do stuff that's going to hit a larger audience. We do have some rules that we apply if somebody wants to end up bringing some content in, because we do get a couple bicycle programs that come in. We could do commercial work because of the statewide franchise actually allows for that to happen, but we're not really seeing a draw for that. I think our intent is to service more of the nonprofits than to try to service something that's going to be a very commercial entity, because a lot of the programs that we end up filming might have underwriting already with them. So we're kind of helping promote that as well. But there really isn't anything that kind of stops us, because in truth we're a soapbox for people to stand on, freedom of speech. So there have been times where we've aired some stuff that might be seen very politically one way or the other, that are produced by citizens that they want to air, and we'll put a disclaimer up saying that we did not, we're not the ones who are producing that. It's produced by somebody from this community, so we're perfectly okay with even airing some of that. So we really try to be as free and open as possible. If something is hateful, obviously in our rules and regulations it spells it out. We're not here to aim at or have anybody insult a certain race or certain people of whatever background there is. So we're not in any way a hateful place. But other than that, we're really open for airing almost anything.
That's good to know. So other than Park Place Views, because I know that's your favorite, but other than this, what's your favorite thing to film?
I think the thing is musical performances, and that's probably because I have a music hobby as a background. And just getting out there and being able to capture it the best way possible, and then sharing with the community. We're not just somebody who's just pointing a camera and the microphone picks up whatever it picks up. No, we actually get in there and try to do the best production possible, and multiple cameras and all that. And that kind of entertainment is timeless. Once you see a program that may teach you how to do exercise as an adult with arthritis, once you see that once, you kind of have an idea of what that's about. But if you see a concert, you can watch a concert over and over and over again. So I think if anything, it's the musical entertainment that's really fun. Great.
So what would you say are the most popular programs with the public, and how do you measure that?
Well, we really can't get any stats from Charter regarding viewership, so we really rely mostly on our content online. So we're going with YouTube, which is most of the stuff that's non-government that we're broadcasting. And then we also have a Granicus system through the city, which actually ties in the live broadcast and our agendas, and is also serves as an archive for the city's meetings. And so we broadcast through that, and we get feedback and numbers from that as for what people are watching. And You'd be surprised. I mean, it really depends on the topic regarding the government meetings. But I mean, if you get a topic that's really hot, all of a sudden, boom, you're seeing it spike way out.
Right.
And I mean, it kind of ebbs and flows. Because somebody could say, oh, they see something, they really like it, and then they share it on Facebook. The next thing you know, everybody's starting to watch it on their Facebook page. So it's kind of tricky to say which is the most popular. The nice thing is we do go through the Google Analytics to kind of get an idea of what our viewership is for a lot of these programs, and we do see a lot of consistency with like Park Place Views. So you know that we have a fan base that's watching all these episodes over and over again, and they build up over time. And it's nice to see, if we get 30 hits, if we get 150 hits, or if we get close to 200 hits. So they do build up over time. And it really, subject matter could be anything, but people are actively watching the government stuff, which is great.
Yeah, that's good.
And the people are actively watching the community-based nonprofit stuff as well.
Do you post all your programs on the website or YouTube, or like you kind of touched on, they're kind of, for one or the other, it sounds like. And then have you seen either of those outlets increase in popularity? So maybe the difference between YouTube or Granicus.
Both have been rising in viewership overall. So it's not like one is more than the other. I think last year we actually saw a larger spike with Granicus than we did with YouTube, which is kind of interesting because last year we were filming almost all of our government meetings for almost half a year from the fire station, Station 1. Right. And in broadcasting those, we were actually broadcasting on YouTube back to our station here to pick it up. So we were streaming it that way. We were streaming it on Granicus as well. And so it was going into that system. So it was actually streaming on two different services at the same time. And the Granicus service seemed to be viewed a lot more than the YouTube was. So we definitely saw a spike more in that. But it was really wild because the numbers for the Granicus viewership was up. And I don't know if maybe it was because everybody heard we were broadcasting from a different location. Right. People became more concerned about what their city government was doing because now since it's hitting the front of the paper, hey, maybe we should be watching it more often. Or maybe it's people getting away from subscribing to cable television, and they're finding that that's a free access as long as they have internet. Right. To be able to see their government at work, and maybe that's the trend.
And maybe the numbers that you're seeing from the online views are capturing that audience that you weren't necessarily able to see who was watching it on Charter.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So to give the public an idea of how long it takes to produce something, let's say you record a 1-hour program right here at Hedberg Public Library. How much time goes into producing that 1 hour to get it ready for TV?
Well, we do have several templates for a lot of the repeat programs that we have, and that speeds up the process considerably. We try to do stuff with what they call a switcher, so we switch in between the different camera angles. So right now we're filming with 3 cameras, so we can switch back and forth between the 3 different cameras. That speeds up the process tremendously. And usually it's just a matter of going in and cleaning up the audio, for the people in the audience that might be speaking and asking questions. If it's kind of like a program in the program room upstairs, there are times where we're filming where setting up a switcher isn't a doable thing. Like we're out in the middle of a park. So we have to set up several cameras and film with that. And then we might have an audio recorder with several microphones and tapped into somebody's sound system. And so now we have to bring those 3 cameras back, put them in a computer editor along with all those audio tracks, marry them all up, go in and cut out the bad shots and keep the good shots, and add titles on the beginning and end. So a 1.5 hour concert might take somebody, a minimum of 4 hours just to trim the video right. And then it's going back and adding in any kind of titles. And if for some reason it was filmed with bad color balance on cameras, then they might have to go in and color correct and that kind of stuff. But we try to get it all perfect up front so that the production afterwards isn't so bad. But yeah, it's 4 hours, 5 hours. I'm asking my staff.
Plus intro, outro.
Plus intro, outro. Depending on what
That's my favorite part, Intros and outros.
Yeah, so, but I mean, it's, as long as we, so the best thing to, the one thing to think about is whenever we're out filming, we want to get all the title information right off the bat, so we're not trying to search for that later. But, yeah, you can easily spend more than, sometimes a project lasts somebody a whole day to work on to get it just polished and perfect.
Well,
So.
at least we can always expect perfection from JATV.
Well, we try. We know where to call it. With any kind of art form, you know where to call it. We get it as close as we can to good.
So residents can watch your program. We've talked a little bit. So Charter Channel 994,
Yep.
the city's website,
Yep.
and YouTube. Can they get more involved? And if so, if they wanted to, and if they had program ideas, how could they use your services to make their own shows?
Well, the equipment that we have here is actually paid through franchise fees, so it's really the city's property. And when I say the city, I'm talking all the residents as well, so they can actually come in and use these facilities. So if somebody said, "Oh, I'd love to do a cooking show," well, we could check them out a camera or two.
I want to do that.
To be able to do a cooking show. It's no problem. We serve basically the people that are residents of the city. So, because they're the ones that are paying for that franchise fee.
Right.
So if they subscribe to cable or they're within an area, we prefer to kind of, we'd want to see if somebody says, "Oh, well, I want to make a movie." And it's like, a movie's not going to take, you don't want to do a project that's going to take you months upon months. Then you need to purchase your own equipment. But if you were to say, "Okay, I want to do a cooking show," well, you can check out the equipment we prefer to keep it, 3 to 4 day checkout, and go and film that cooking show, and then bring the cameras back, and then you'd have, the chips, plug them into a computer, and we could show you how to edit them here, unless you prefer to edit them at home and just submit a program to us. We do have two gentlemen who are producing a mixed martial arts show.
Cool.
So they film in their basement. So they come in, they check out a camera, and then they do their moves in the basement, and then they'll edit the program and add in and out and bring it here, and then we air it. So that's one show that's already out there. We've also had one other volunteer where he went and filmed a local band, the Leptons. So that's a plug to my neighbor friend, Seth, with his lovely band, the Leptons. So they played at Voight Music, and so I checked them out. A couple of cameras actually ended up assisting, kind of keeping an eye on how it was all moving, and we filmed that concert, and it was a great concert. It wasn't well attended, but at the same time, it was well viewed. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. We could go and film, some kind of public meeting that might only have a handful of people, mm-hmm. and then the next thing you know, a couple hundred people watched it.
That's a good thing. So we've got mixed martial arts, some concerts. Any other local stuff happening, non-JATV staff, any programs that you're seeing?
We do get a couple things that are submitted to us. Church services are big. So we do have several churches that are submitting content as well, which is wonderful because that's hitting that audience of seniors or people that do not have the ability to attend their church services can watch them. And they do depend on them. So, for example, if we end up with a problem with one of our broadcasts of a church service, we will hear about it the very next day. So there is an audience for those programs.
That's good. So they can rent the equipment and film some of their own stuff, but what if someone doesn't really know kind of what they're doing with a camera, or they need some education? Do you guys do any training here?
Oh, absolutely. Whenever anybody wants to check out a camera, we want to be thorough about teaching them how to operate it.
Sure.
We also need to comment too that you need to be an adult to be able to check out the camera. So if you're a high schooler and you want to check one out, you're not 18, then you're going to need to have a parent come in and check out the camera. Right. and be responsible for the camera. But yeah, we'll walk through the whole thing. The nice thing about some of the cameras that we have to check out, we do have some 4K cameras, although we don't edit things in 4K just yet. We do have the ability to do so. But we set them up as high definition, and we can put them on fully automatic. So if for some reason somebody's like, I don't know how to shoot with a camera, but I want to do this project, and I'm not too concerned about sound and all that stuff, then we'll set it on automatic and go, you open it up, you push record, and here you go. So people can produce stuff. I mean, the internet's proof of it.
That's
There's
true.
a lot of bad stuff, poorly produced stuff out there.
And there's a lot of famous people out there who
Yep.
don't necessarily have skill with production, but they're out there anyway.
Sometimes content, more so than quality.
That's true.
But yes, we're more than happy to teach, and the nice thing about the internet too is people can educate themselves as well. I mean, if we don't know how to do something, we might type it up on the computer and voila, this is how we do it. And I've done that recently with some stuff that we're working on, because I needed to do the research and get the equipment working properly, and online tutorials definitely helped.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the partnerships between JATV and other entities in the community expanding? And if so, what are some of those partnerships?
I think we're just getting started with a lot of these partnerships. There's several opportunities that are popping up. The ones we have actually participated in recently would be the Tales of series that we did. We did that with JPAC and the Rock County Historical Society. And basically we did one called Tales of Old Marshall, which talked about the history of the Marshall Middle School, High School, which is JPAC. And with that, we created a little story, backstory, and a bunch of music was written and performed for that. I actually was one of the session musicians for the soundtrack for the show. We did a 3-day play for that, musical, or not a musical, play, and just talked about the history. And in doing that, we used a lot of historical images that the Rock County Historical Society provided, as well as content from the library. So this project involved the library greatly for the resources that were there. We also did a program called Tales of Downtown, and actually interviewed several people here in the community, talked about downtown, and even including a little history of Dub's, the jewelry store. So that history is definitely important and saved forever. So those are a couple of the projects. I would like to do more stuff with Historical Society, and with the Tales of program, we're actually going to do one that's going to be spotlighting a lot of the farms in the Rock County area. So that's the next subject matter. I'm not really sure what the title of it's going to be. We're still kind of working on that theme. We're hoping to do it on a year-by-year basis, but we were doing this program in, I think it was in the fall, and so now we were hoping to do it more during the January season, which would be the local month for entertainment at JPAC. So that's the direction that we're going to end up going with the program in the future. So this year in 2019, we're not going to produce one, but we are producing it now for 2020, which is nice doing it now because we can get the harvesting machineries, the planting, the seeders and the planters first, and then the harvesting machinery at the end of the season, and create some really neat images for it. And that's just one of the projects we're working on. But so I'm seeing more stuff with JPAC for sure, and I would like to do historical programming with the Rock County Historical Society. It's just a matter of we need to find those little history pieces that nobody's really attacked. We'll definitely end up doing something regarding GM because we had done a tour of the facility before they started tearing it down. So we have that, and there's a lot of stories, too many to count in the city. So eventually there's going to be something along that line in the future as well. So history is a wonderful topic, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that.
And there's a lot of that here, so
yeah,
looking forward to those programs. Each year, JATV submits programs to Wisconsin Community Media's Video Festival. Is JATV still involved in that? And can you tell us a little bit more about that awards program?
Well, we are very involved in it. We actually end up serving as a judging site. We don't judge our own stuff. Just kidding. Keeping that clear. So we end up submitting several programs every year, and it's kind of the cream of the crop, the best that we do. Is what we try to provide, so that way we end up with some of these lovely awards, like these. See? So
the Emmys, the Grammys, right?
Yeah, these are the WAPSIs,
right?
which is actually with Wisconsin Community Media. So with that, we're going to probably submit some series, like this series was submitted at one point in time and won an award. We'll probably end up submitting like our Tales of stuff, just because it's a heavy production, and it's not like we're filming this event. It's we are participating in it, so it's much more than just a recorded event. We might end up submitting a parade, because we did actually broadcast the Jolly Jingle Parade live. So we streamed that one live, as well as having it on our channel. So that's definitely going to be one of the ones that we'll end up adding in for submission. Other than that, since we do have an intern who's a high schooler, we want to definitely do something that's going to be something that's going to be not a juvenile, but a student submission. So that way there's youth programming. So we're going to try to cover little bits of everything, and of course pick out our favorite music performance, and it might be a Beloit Janesville Symphony Orchestra concert. It might be music that's at the Marvin Roth Pavilion. So Main Street Entertainment. So yes, we will definitely be participating.
Great. You'll have to let us know when the awards start rolling in.
Okay.
So as I understand, JATV has a pretty big presence both on Facebook and Twitter. Why do you feel like residents and others should be following you on social media?
Well, I think with Facebook, it kind of is a little flag, hey, this is coming up. Obviously, if they want to end up following us on YouTube, those will also flag, and pop up as well. The nice thing is everybody's gravitating towards a mobile device, a smartphone, or whatever. Those devices will alert you. So I started following, for example, First Lutheran Church here in town, and the reason I followed them is I got involved with doing a couple of productions there. We did one concert with them over there, as well as some other stuff, and in doing so I became a friend. I followed them on YouTube, and so every now and then all of a sudden something pops up from the church service on my phone, so it's very visible. So by having us on Facebook and having us on YouTube and people following us on these different social media platforms, the alerts pop up. All of a sudden somebody's interest is drawn towards it, and it's just going to remind people that we're there, because we really, beyond our daily schedule that's put in the Janesville Gazette, how are people going to hear about us? And that's the easiest way. If it's not, then it's got to be internet based.
Right.
And then obviously the city's channels is a huge benefit, and the fact that the city does share a lot of our video content on the front page as you come in, that's key as well. So the more platforms you're on, the more spread you're going to have, the more visibility. And it's interesting in doing the Google Analytics, some people are looking at this stuff from the other side of the globe. So our audience is huge.
I have noticed there might be someone at the city working there who retweets your tweets a lot. I wonder who that could be. It might be me.
Okay. Well, thank you.
No problem. So Alan, we're getting a little bit short on time. Do you have any thoughts for our viewers at home?
The thoughts are this, technology is constantly evolving. We try to be on the front end of things. So we're going to produce the best that we possibly can with the budgets that we have. And we do it on a pretty slim budget. But I think I refer to as kind of guerrilla techniques of being able to produce video content really is something that allows us to do a quality job, low budget, and have fun at doing it. And if people want to learn how to do this trade, and experience it, this is the place to do it. You want to start your own show, we'll give you some of that ground instruction, get you motivated and moving in the right direction, and the tools are here for you. So, if you're from Janesville and you want to start producing content, come down and see us and give us an idea of what you're thinking about doing. We're really that avenue for you to be able to spotlight what your interests are, and at the same time, learn something. So if anything, I think the one thing we want to see ourselves doing more in the future is getting more volunteer work coming in, Not necessarily putting them behind a camera just to film one set event. I'd rather see people create content on their own and make it really theirs.
So last but not least, short of stopping by, how else can folks get a hold of you here at JATV?
Well, they can always email us at info@jatv.org, and they can always give us a call at 608-758-5823. And they can also just stop by. We're actually in the administration section of the library, so as long as the library doors are open and our staff's here, and we're usually here at least until 5, and if we have lots to edit, then we're here even later than that. But yeah, people can come in as soon as the door is open. Just come down and see what's going on. We'll give you a tour of the facilities. They're not huge, but at least, get an idea of what we're up to. And I think there's going to be good things coming down the road. People will be interested.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Alan, for your time today and your staff time today, and for letting our viewers learn a little bit more about JATV. And as always, thank you and your wonderful staff for all your hard work in bringing this and other great local programs to the Janesville community. Thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in. Next month, we'll be talking with Information Technology Manager Gordy LaChance to update us on the very busy IT office in the city of Janesville. In addition to tuning into this program on a monthly basis, stay connected to the City of Janesville by following us on Facebook or Twitter. You can also sign up to receive emails with our press releases and other important information. And you can subscribe to get emergency alerts from the Janesville Police Department on Nixle. For Park Place Views and the City of Janesville, I'm your host, Molly Nolte. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.